Before we begin, allow me to paint you the full picture. Before the Age of Fire, there was the Age of the Ancients, a fixed era when seemingly immortal giant dragons dominated the world. In this rocky grey world, only a few archtrees grew here and there were multitudes of dragons on the surface with powerful scales called scales of immortality and fire-breathing capable of immense destruction. All other creatures were forced to take refuge underground. One day, fire appeared. The first flame was a spark that, to this very day, no one knows where it came from. Perhaps it was the work of the primordial serpents, but whatever it was, the world was about to change forever. The four lords, Nito, the Witch of Eyes Alith, and her daughters of Chaos, Gwyn the Lord of Sunlight, along with his knights and the furtive pygmy, all took on a particular lord's soul. After long preparation, it was time for war. Led by the all-powerful Gwyn, it was a battle for the ages. The Age of Fire versus the Age of the Ancients. The dragons didn't expect one of their own to betray them. A dragon named Seath, the Scaleless, who was rejected by his kind, revealed how to defeat the dragons to the lords. Lightning, illness, and devouring flames. After 1,000 years of war, the ancient dragons fell, and the Age of Fire had begun.
The story of Dark Souls. Escaping the Asylum and exploring Lordran. There is one cell among so many others, where an undead man lives. He is simply waiting for the end of his existence. Suddenly, a mysterious knight appears and drops a corpse onto the floor. Within the body is a key to the cell door. The start of the prophecy of the chosen undead begins. We meet the brave knight who freed the undead from his cell, an elite knight named Oscar of Astora, who unfortunately couldn't fulfill the prophecy of the undead. There isn't much time before Oscar turns hollow, so he quickly explains what needs to be done and hands over the Estus flasks. Travel to the lands of the gods on the back of a giant crow and ring both bells of awakening to become the new Lord of Cinder. Dropped off at the Firelink Shrine, where some sane people remain, and one of the only peaceful places left. There are many paths the chosen undead can choose to go to begin his journey. The one to New Lundo and its indestructible phantoms, which seem too risky, or the path of the catacombs, full of giant skeletons that continuously revive, is no more reassuring. This leaves one path for this new warrior, which is to head to the undead burg. The Bells of Awakening. The kingdom of Lordran, which humans inhabit, has gone hollow, aggressive and uncontrollable, a glimpse into the future of what could happen to the chosen undead himself. Regaining his life thanks to humanity, he was able to find on a corpse hanging over a well. The chosen undead can now feel powerful. He wanders into Undead Burg and begins swinging his axe. Clearing the hollows out of the burg is somewhat of an easy task, as the chosen undead needed to ring the first bell of awakening. The belfry rises above the roofs of the Undead Burg and is defended by a group of gargoyles. But with the help of Solaire of Astora, they were both able to defeat the gargoyles and ring the first bell. Praise the sun. It was now time for the chosen undead to head underground, where the enemies are fiercer and more twisted than those on the surface. Blight Town is a poison, thick darkness, a swamp filled with countless traps and incurable curses. With a few swings of his weapon, the chosen undead reached Quela Domain, home to a witch of chaos and a daughter of the mythical Witch of Eyes Alith. Once the half-woman, half-spider was defeated, the chosen undead reached the second bell of awakening. With both bells rung, Sen's fortress was opened, and where the iron golem stood guard to protect the city of the gods. The King Seeker was awakened from his lethargy and went to the Firelink Shrine to meet the worthy undead. The Lordvesse and the Lie of the Fire. Frampt instructs him on how to fulfill his destiny fully. Frampt presents himself as a friend of Lord Gwyn and tells us that our destiny is to link the fire, reject the dark, and put an end to the undead curse. To achieve this, we must go to Anor Londo and retrieve the Lordvesse. The city of the gods reveals the splendors. The sun pierces the scattered clouds with powerful rays, illuminating breathtaking Gothic architecture. All that ends with the not-so-friendly knights, specifically Gwyn's knights, who are not fond of handing over the Lord's vassal to just anyone. The captain of the guard, Dragonslayer Ornstein, one of the 4 personal knights of Gwyn, alongside Executioner Smaug, is tasked with defending the throne room. Once again, with Solaire on his side, they were both able to defeat Ornstein and Smaug, and now it was time for the Chosen One to meet Guinevere, daughter of Gwyn. Guinevere, a goddess of imposing size, proves to be kind and generous. To reward the chosen undead for his courage and fortitude, she grants him the Lordvesse. To the undead's surprise, Guinevere isn't there. It is revealed to be no more than an illusion, disappearing when the chosen undead makes any aggressive movements. Frampt's plan would have worked perfectly had the chosen undead been more gullible to the goddess, who was too friendly for the cruel world they inhabited. Guinevere was once truly in the city of the gods, but at the first sign of the decline of the fire, she and many others abandoned Anor Londo. With the fake Guinevere slain, the city is plunged into a gloomy twilight. Left in literal darkness, the chosen undead begins to think. With Frampt's prophecy being much of a mirage as a vile manipulation, another path is open to the undead. With discovering the truth at the forefront, the Chosen One reaches the flooded city of New Londo. Meeting with Ingward, guardian of the seal for centuries, notices the Chosen One has the Lordvesse and gives him the key to the seal, but not without warning about the Abyss. A place where the corrupted spirits of the 4 kings and the dark wraiths live who hunger for humanity. The chosen undead opens the floodgates to let the water out of the ruins, and with the ring of Artorias, the Abyss Walker begins his journey towards the Abyss. The 4 kings corrupted by the dark have been waiting at the bottom of the Abyss for centuries. After putting these human remains to eternal sleep, the Chosen One meets the second primordial serpent Darkstalker Cartha. Unlike Frampt, Carti asserts he is the one being truthful. His story begins with a revelation. The ancestor of the Chosen One, the pygmy who owns the dark soul. While the other 3 lords rose against the dragons, the first human hid away, waiting for the age of fire to fade and thus making way for the age of dark. Carthy gives the Chosen One a new mission. Fill the Lordvesse with the most powerful souls of the region, the 4 kings, the traitor, Seath, along with 2 others, Nito and the Witch of Eyes, Alith. Gathering these souls will open the door to the kiln of the first flame, where Lord Gwyn and his Black Knights live. The Chosen One is left with a serious dilemma. Comply with Frampt and his prophecy to succeed Gwyn and continue the Age of Fire, further centuries to come, or listen to Carter and push the world into the Age of Man and become the Dark Lord, fulfilling the ambition of the pygmy, ancestor to all humans. The final choice. Once all the great souls are in possession and the Lordvesse has been filled, the doors open to the kiln of the first flame. The area is large, but nothing is left but ruins and desolation. The knights appear as empty armor strewn around the place. At the end of the kiln, Gwyn awaits. Thinking back, Oscar, who was the chosen one liberator, could have been the one standing here had he not been defeated by the Asylum demon. Before entering the final battle, the warrior of sunlight appears again by our side, determined to see the very end. Solaire's existence remains shrouded in mystery, but with his help, effective but brief, brings to mind a guardian angel, serving the newly proclaimed hero. The fight with the Lord of Cinder proves much less difficult than expected. Gwyn has lost his power of old. He should stand tall, with the stature of a god, but he is hardly larger than a tall human. How is this possible? Or could he be a human who was previously manipulated by Frampt to become the new Lord of Cinder? Is it possible to imagine that for centuries now the fire has been lit by an unending line of humans, manipulated to link the fire by Frampt and his contemptible machinations, under the pretext of fulfilling a fictitious prophecy? While there is no confirming this theory, it does add a new perspective. If this was true, Gwyn has been dead for a long time, but the Keeper of the Fire is too small and weak to match the old Lord of Sunlight. He is quickly defeated, and the decision must be made. Become Lord of Cinder and allow the Age of Fire to continue, or embrace the destiny of the Dark Lord to end the cycle perpetuated by Frampt and begin the Age of Man.
The Lordvesse is satiated, magnificent. You are the righteous successor to Gwyn, the new great lord, and I am Kingseeker no more. Your acquaintance was an honor. I must admit, I am fond of you humans. May you enjoy serendipity, and may the Age of Fire perpetuate. Followed my teachings faithfully. You are the true Lord of Men, the Dark Lord. Now go forth and rid us of that enfeebled Gwyn. My path shall await you here.
The decision. The decision is not simply between two destinies. It goes further, however, in that the decision concerns the preservation of the current age, or the advent of a new one. The chosen one now fights for the survival of his species and the dignity of those weaker than himself. The choice to become the Dark Lord seems more favorable. Linking the fire would only once again postpone the end of a bygone era until the next undead arrives, for the same ploy of being manipulated by Frampt. The cycle could go on forever, only pushing back the Age of Dark until one day, the chosen undead of the time decide to accept Carter's words and decide to end this fast cycle that has gone on for long enough.